Yes, good morning all the students. Let's move on to our third lecture. Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. In the last lecture, that is in lecture 2, we have seen how good is the representational power of perceptrons. Right? We understood perceptron like a basic unit of any neural network. And if we want to make a complex neural network architecture, we use many such perceptrons. Right? Then how a perceptron is used, how it actually processes the data, that also we have understood. If lots of input values are given, say x1, x2, x3 and x4, now all these input values are associated with corresponding weights w1, w2, w3 and w4 in order to perform some processing of the data. Say in this case, it is trying to frame a linear equation, right, in the form of x1 w1 plus x2 w2 and so on up to xn wn. I need to write this W before, not after. That is the convention, okay? Though it's not compulsory, that is how we need to write. Okay, this is how we represent a linear equation. Now, this linear equation is optimized by this perceptron in order to give an output. Okay, now what are these weights? These weights are the importances of their associated input parameters. Say if x1 is contributing very much in predicting the outcome variable, then that will be given higher weight. If x2 is not playing that much significant role in determining the outcome variable, that is y, in that case we give a lesser weight to w2. We in the sense the processing unit, here the perceptron will try to give a lesser weight to that particular weight. How this weight assignment is done? By learning from various training examples. Okay, you give lot of historical data, you provide lot of historical data as experience to the machine learning model, and it tries to learn from those training examples by assigning some appropriate weights to all these input variables, which will reflect the impact of each of these variables on the outcome variable y. Okay, this is how you understood. And in the first chapter, we have seen how a linear equation and its weights are adjusted. Now, there we are using different algorithm. Here we are using artificial neural network. Now, we also have seen what are the advantages of artificial neural network. It is robust to data and it is quick in its evaluation. So whenever you want some processing to be taken place very quickly, like an autonomous driving vehicle or say rocket launching, or where some quick action is has to be taken place, and if not, quick evaluation takes place, it will result in some very risky consequences or very risky results. In such cases, reliable quick evaluation can be provided by these artificial neural networks. That is why most of the machine learning models now are using these artificial neural networks, and further we call them as deep neural networks. Say if you use multiple layers, here we are using just 1 or 2 layers, right? From input to output. But if you have too many layers in between in order to process the data very quickly, then we call them as deep neural networks. Okay, that is another fascinating topic or fascinating say in-depth study of this artificial neural network. So if you are really interested in this kind of concepts, you can as a beginning step, you can start reading blogs on internet, like Towards Data Science, Machine Learning Mastery. These are all famous blogs where the machine learning experts who have worked with this kind of architectures, they will provide their experiences along with examples on what data set they worked, what code they have applied, and how they have obtained the best results. All these are very clearly, nicely explained from their perspective. Okay, so reading every day one blog at least, if you can do, I think you will gain lots and lots of knowledge in this particular field. Okay, so in that case, you will not be scared of this kind of maths involved in machine learning. There are lots of blogs available. I think you can go across them as I suggested. Two blogs, what I have suggested is Towards Data Science and Machine Learning Mastery. You can note them down. Machine Learning Mastery will give basic code. It's very easy. You can just understand the concept by the explanation and use the copy paste code and start executing in your Jupyter notebook and experience the results also. Okay, it is that easy. Machine Learning Mastery. Okay, these two blogs, daily one short blog. They'll also give you the time that is required to read that particular content in the blog. Just 7 minutes read or 10 minutes read. It doesn't take more than 20 to 30 minutes for you to complete a blog post, right? So if you read such kind of blogs, you will feel much more interested in the concepts that I'm teaching in the class. Okay. So little hard work is required. Actually, it is like reading a story only. If you are reading a blog post, they'll make that interesting. Okay, and also they'll use some pictures which indirectly apply to the concept they are dealing with. That is nice to see all those interpretations. Okay, so I expect the students to go through such kind of blogs. Now let's come back to our content, that is learning about these perceptrons. We have also seen how these perceptrons can be used in representing Boolean expressions, Boolean functions like primitive functions like AND, OR, NAND, NOR, and how still single perceptron is not enough to represent a Boolean operation such as XOR. In that case, we have to go for multi-layer perceptrons. Okay, all that will come across as we go further. Now in today's class, we'll see how the perceptron training rule is optimized and what is gradient descent and the delta rule. Now, the precise learning problem is to determine a weight vector that causes the perceptron to produce correct either +1 or -1 output for each of the given training examples. Right? That is the learning problem. It has to determine the weight vector for each of the input variables. Right? If you take an input variable x1, what is the weight associated with it? W1. If you take an input vector x2, what is the weight associated with it? W2. This is how the machine learning model will try to optimize the weights associated with these input variables. Okay, or input vectors. Why we call them as vectors? X1 is an independent element, X2 is an independent element. Now all these given together as an input, in that case we call them as input vector. Okay, it is like array. Array is collection of elements, right? In the same way, input vector is collection of input elements. Now, the precise learning problem here for the artificial neural network is to determine what weight vector. It has to determine the weight vector W1, W2 and so on that causes the perceptron to produce the correct plus or minus 1 output, because we decide a threshold, right? Below that threshold, if the calculated linear equation value is lesser than that threshold, it will fire -1. If it is greater than that threshold, it will fire +1 as the output. That is how we understood in the previous class, right? So in order to fire those respective outputs, it has to adjust the weights, and that we clearly understood by using AND Boolean operation. For AND, you want only one. You want the output as 1 only when x1 and x2 are 1. Otherwise, you want the output as 0. In order to get that output, you are adjusting the weights. Did you notice that in the previous class? Yes. In the same, that is the learning problem that is associated with this perceptron. It has to adjust the weights in order to fire either +1 or -1 based on the threshold comparison with your linear equation output value, right? Now, several algorithms are known to solve this learning problem. There are various algorithms, right? You have in the first chapter, you have seen some algorithms. Second chapter, you have seen some algorithms. Second chapter, mainly it is for categorical variables, but still we have seen how to make it work for continuous valued variables also. But generally, several algorithms are known to solve this kind of weight adjustment problems. Here, in this particular chapter, let us consider two algorithms, perceptron rule and the delta rule. You remember in first chapter, least mean squares algorithm, that is to adjust the weights in order to get a optimal linear equation to the best mode from the current board state, right? Any doubt, students? I heard some noise from your side. Okay, now here we are considering another a set of algorithms, the perceptron rule and the delta rule. Why we are calling it as rule is, this is the basic calculation behind that algorithm. Okay, now these two algorithms are guaranteed to converge to somewhat different acceptable hypothesis. Okay, they doesn't give the same hypothesis. They actually converge to different type of hypothesis. We'll see what is the difference between these two rules, what kind of problems they try to address. They are important to artificial neural networks because they provide the basis for learning networks from networks of many units. Okay, not only with a single unit, but if you try to give multiple hidden layers in between input layer and the output layer, still these algorithms will be applicable, if not directly, by making some changes or alterations to the algorithm, still they are applicable to complex neural networks also. Now, one way to learn an acceptable weight vector is to begin with random weights. Start off with some weights. You can't initially decide what are the optimal weights, right? Start off with some random weights, then iteratively apply the perceptron to each training example, modifying the perceptron weights whenever it misclassifies an example. Okay, so what is the criteria for the algorithm to adjust the weights? Whenever it makes some misclassification or whenever there is a lot of error in the classification. Say misclassification means whenever it has to be predicted as S, it predicted as no. Or whenever it has to be predicted as no, it has predicted as S. That is misclassification in categorical data. But in real value data, say it has to forecast the weather as 38 degrees, but it has forecasted it as 34 degrees. So the difference between this is 4 degrees. So the deviation is 4 degrees in the prediction. Say if it has predicted as 36 degrees, then the deviation in the prediction is 2 degrees, right? The deviation has become lesser. Got it? Now, in order to reduce this deviation, in order to reduce the misclassification, these weights have to be adjusted. Okay, the weight vector have to be adjusted. That is what is given in this first point. One way to learn an acceptable weight vector. Acceptable weight vector means which tends towards optimal solution, which gives us ideal target solution. Okay, is to begin with random weights, start off with some set of weights, then iteratively apply the perceptron to the training example, to each training example. Okay, iteratively means again and again the weights will be readjusted, right? It in a loop. That is how the perceptron is iteratively applied to each training example, modifying the perceptron weights whenever it misclassifies an example. Correct? Start off with some set of weights. Whenever there is a misclassification, adjust the weights and see if you can reduce this misclassification. If the misclassification is being reduced, okay. Once it reaches some optimal prediction, the weight adjustment will stop because you reached optimal prediction. Now this adjustment of weights are set to converge if they are giving optimal result with every training example. If still there are some deviations in the predictions, it means that the weights have to be adjusted in the next iteration. Okay, now this process is repeated Remember, it is an iterative process. You can't start off with random, you start off with random weights, but you can't stop with 1 or 2 iterations. You have to continue this iterative process until you arrive at acceptable weight vector, until you arrive at optimal weight vector, until you arrive at ideal weight vector, which will reduce the error in the prediction, if not completely, up to some extent, up to optimal extent, up to sufficient extent. Okay, this process is repeated, iterating through the training examples as many times as needed until the perceptron classifies all training examples correctly. That is our objective. Until the perceptron classifies all the training examples correctly, it need to be trained by adjusting the weights iteratively again and again, again and again. The weights are modified at each step according to the perceptron training rule. This is what we are trying to learn, right? How they are adjusted according to this perceptron, which revises the weight Wi associated with input Xi according to the rule Wi equal to Wi plus delta Wi. There is lot of mathematics involved in this chapter, as I said, but if you understand each and every part of the equation, is it that difficult for you to understand? Tell me. So listen carefully. I'll decode for you each and every term involved in the equation so that you'll feel very comfortable with learning this particular concept, right? Students, listen carefully. Weights are modified at each step in order to arrive at acceptable weight vector according to the perceptron training rule. What does it do? Which revises the weight Wi associated with input Xi. You're okay with this, right? Wi means any vector any weight associated with Xi. Xi means input variables, X1, X2, X3, X4, and so on. We don't know what are the input, how many number of input variables at each instance, right? So we are generalizing that term so that we can globally represent. That's all. Do not get confused why we are using Wi and Xi. They are just representing a generalized term. Okay, now this Xi, the weights associated with input Xi is revised according to the rule. What is the rule? Wi equal to Wi plus delta Wi. This is the old weight Wi. Now, because of using this Wi, there is error in the prediction. In order to reduce that prediction, in order to reduce the error in the prediction, you have to make adjustment to the weight. Means you should add little more value to the weight or remove some more value from the weight. That is called as delta Wi. Delta represents some change in the variable. Now we are using delta Wi means you are trying to make some modification to the existing old value of the weight by adding some weight, by adding some extra weight, or by removing, if it is a negative value, by removing some weight. Okay, that will be your new weight. This is your new weight. This is your old weight. This is the change you make to the weight whenever there is prediction error in order to reduce the prediction error. Okay, where now how to understand this change, how to give that change, whether more weight have to be added or whether some weight have to be removed, how you decide on that change. How do you add that value to the existing weights? That is given here. New, this symbol is called as new. It is somewhat like a lowercase n. Okay, it is actually written like this. Write like this in your exam. Okay, don't write as n. This symbol n is called as new, which is the learning rate of the algorithm. Learning rate multiplied by, what is this t? The target outcome in your training example. What is O? The outcome that is calculated by the neural network model. What is the deviation between them, difference between them? That is the prediction error. Got it? Multiplied by that corresponding input value. That is the weight that have to be added to the old weight in order to adjust the weight. I'm repeating once again, delta Wi is the change you have to make to the old weight in order to adjust the weight to reduce the prediction. Now, how do you calculate how much change you have to make to the existing weight? That is given by nu, that is the learning rate. Generally, it will be taken as 0.1 or 0.01. It is as less as possible. Keep it as less as possible. I'll tell you why. It is very interesting concept. Initially, I used to feel little scared of these topics, to be very sincere. But actually, when I understood why it is being used in depth, it is very easy. Now I started loving this new. Okay, so you also try to understand. I'll explain very clearly for you. Let me first tell you what are these terms, then I'll give you the explanation. Now this new is the learning rate, means it is like a moderator. It will tell how much of the weight have to be adjusted. Okay, new multiplied by T is the target label. In the training example, O is the prediction made by the machine learning model, in this case the perceptron, multiplied by that input variable x1, x2, x3, whatever is the variable. This weight, say if it is for x1, you are calculating this weight change for w1. If it is for x2, you are calculating this weight change for w2, like that. Okay, now you knew how to calculate this change. I'll give you a mathematical calculation in the next slide. You don't worry. Okay, you understood the formula, right? Now let us come to this new. Why we are using this learning rate? Okay, now I have a goal to reach, but I don't know the way in which I have to travel. Right? They have told me that I have my goal at some distance, but they didn't give me the directions. And I am blind, I am left there without any compass also. Now, how to move towards my goal? I take small step towards forward, not towards the goal. I just take small step forward. Now, I'll check whether my step is proper or not. Okay, now I'll take further another step and I'll check whether my step forward is correct or not. Say I am ascending a mountain, I am climbing a mountain. That will be a better example than a flat surface. Now I'm standing at this position and I have to reach this position. Okay, now I am not given any compass, either I don't know any direction in which I have to travel. So I will check around me which place is having the highest inclination, highest steepness. Inclination means above, going forward towards the top of the mountain. Okay, where there is highest inclination, I'll check for the local optimal direction and move in this direction little forward. Now, remember, mountain will not be a flat slope like this, right? There are ups and downs. So there I'll stop. Again, I'll check around me for the most highest inclination and go in that direction. At each step, what I'm doing, I'm learning in which direction I have to move. And in the initial stages, I take longer steps. But when I come to last stage, I have to take smaller steps. Say, if I come here and I take a long step, what will happen? I'll overshoot. I'll go to this range and I will miss my goal. Got it? That is why initially the learning rate will be larger. I can take bigger steps and go. I can take longer steps and go. But when I come to the top of the mountain, I should not overshoot my goal. I should reach this point. I should not overshoot my goal. So what I'm doing is I'm taking smaller steps with deciding on my local minimum, local optimal solution, and I'm moving forward. And finally, I reach the goal. This steps being taken is called as the learning rate. Okay, the learning rate initially is larger, but as I come towards my goal, the learning rate have to be reduced in order to arrive at the optimal solution, in order to arrive at my proper goal, and should not overshoot. If I take a longer step here, I may go across my destination, right? That is not correct. So I have to take smaller steps in order to reach my goal. So what you understand by a learning rate is the steps it has to take to adjust the weights, and that steps have to be longer in the beginning and shorter at the end so that it will not miss the optimal solution. Okay, now you understood what is the learning rate. Now let us proceed. Here T is the target output for the current training example. Yes, we know that. I already told you. 0 is the output generated by the perceptron. This also we know, that is the prediction. O is the prediction output. And nu is a positive constant called the learning rate. Now you are very comfortable with the learning rate concept. Okay. Now the role of the learning rate is to moderate the degree to which weights are changed at each step. How much the weight have to be adjusted. Okay, you moved in this direction, but that is not a proper direction. Actually, you have deviated from your goal a little. Then how much it has to be adjusted to put it on the proper direction? That will be taken care by the learning rate. I can't put it more simpler than this. I hope you all understood, students. If you have any doubt, ask me. I'll explain once again here itself. Did you understand? The role of the learning rate is to moderate the degree to which weights are changed at each step. It is usually set to some small value, 0.1 or sometimes 0.01, like that, and is sometimes made to decay as the number of weight tuning iterations increases. You keep on adjusting your weights, and once you reach the last stage of your destination, whenever you reach closer to your destination, what will happen? You have to go smaller and smaller in order to optimally reach your destination. What is happening here? Your learning rate is decaying. It is becoming smaller and smaller. And once the weight adjustment converges, means you need not adjust any more weights. They have reached an optimal solution. In that case, learning rate will be 0. You need not make any more adjustments. Nothing has to be learned further. In that case, learning rate will be 0. Now, why should this update rule converge to successful weight values? Why should it reach some optimal solution where no longer the weight adjustment is required? Suppose the training example is correctly classified already by the perceptron. Say if there is any adjustment, if there is any deviation in the prediction, weight adjustment will be done. If there is no deviation in the prediction, if the prediction is correct, in this case, T minus 0. T is your training output. O is your perceptron output, prediction. And there is no difference between them. Prediction is correct. In that case, T minus O is 0, making delta Wi 0. Come back here. See, when this T minus O is 0, this entire delta Wi is 0. So this term will become 0. Means Wi will remain the same as its old Wi, because no change is required. That is how you need to understand. I'm repeating again. Say you have old value and it has to be adjusted with the new value by adding delta Wi. Now, what is this delta Wi? New into the deviation in the prediction multiplied by, what is that term? Yeah, xi, sorry, xi. Now, this t minus 0, this t minus o is 0, means prediction is correct. There is no difference in the training example outcome and the predicted outcome. Then this term will become 0. 0 multiplied with the learning rate and xi will become 0. Means delta Wi will become 0. Means this term will become 0. When this term delta Wi becomes 0, it indicates that your new weight also should be same as your old weight. No more adjustments need to be done. That is your optimal solution. That is the convergence of your weights, where no longer weight adjustment need to be done. Got it? Now suppose the perceptron outputs -1 when the target is +1. Then weight adjustment have to take place. If the prediction is correct, no weight adjustment needs to be done. If the prediction is wrong, then weight adjustment have to be done. Now see here, suppose the perceptron outputs a -1 when the target output is actually +1. Now to make the perceptron output a +1 instead of -1, in this case, the weights must be altered to increase the value of this dot product, Wx. Correct? It is predicted as -1, but the actual label is +1. Now, in order to make it come forward to +1, means to cross the threshold, to make that value above 0, you have to increase the value of this. You have to increase the weight, right? You have to increase W. Let it be W1 or W2 or W3. That perceptron will take care which weight have to be adjusted, or all the weights have to be adjusted in order to bring the outcome value of this linear equation to be greater than 0 in order to be predicted as 1. If it is lesser than 0, it is predicted as -1. That is a mistake. Actual label is +1. So weight have to be increased in order to bring the solution to greater than 0 in order to fire +1. Is it clear? Now, for example, if xi greater than 0, then increasing Wi will bring the perceptron closer to correctly classifying this example, right? If xi is greater than 0, the input value is greater than 0, then increasing Wi will bring the perceptron closer to correctly classifying this example. Say there is positive input value. Now you increase the weight associated with it. Obviously, they will be calculated, they will contribute to the calculation output to be greater than 0 if you increase the weight, and that will make the perceptron correctly classify it or correctly classify it as +1 instead of -1. Now notice the training rule will increase Wi in this case because T minus output O, nu and xi are all positive. They are already positive. Now increasing this Wi will bring the output greater than 0. Then immediately the perceptron will fire a +1, which is the correct prediction. Okay. Now for example, if xi equal to 0.8, let us see this calculation. You will clearly understand. Any doubts you have will be resolved in this stage. For example, if xi is equal to 0.8, you have taken the input value as 0.8 and nu, the learning rate is 0.1. The training example output is 1 and the predicted output is -1. Then the weight update will be, what should be the weight update? Delta Wi. You take the new value 0.1. T is original outcome is +1. Original training examples outcome is +1 and the output is -1 and the input variable value is 0.8. So what is the value that is calculated? 0.16. So the new increase in the weight should be plus 0.16 in order to make the prediction plus 1 instead of minus 1. Got it? This is how the weight adjustment is calculated by the perceptron. Students, did you understand this? Just you are substituting the learning rate value, T value, that is the outcome label for the training example, O value, that is the prediction made in the previous step, and Xi is the input value. Now, delta Wi, the weight that has to be adjusted, is calculated by substituting all these values in the equation, which will give you 0.16. 0.1 into 2 into 0.8. You will get 0.16. Okay. This is the amount of weight that have to be added to the previous weight, Wi, in order to make correct prediction as plus 1 instead of minus 1. Got it? Now, on the other hand, think the other way, other side of this example. If the prediction made is, the actual training example outcome is 1, but it is predicted as 1. What has to be done? Then weights associated with positive Xi will be decreased rather than increased. Now substitute the same values. Nu is 0.1. T is minus 1 minus the outcome, the prediction is plus 1 into 0.8, right? Now it is 0.1 into minus 2 into 0.8. So what is the value here? Minus 0.16. Okay, in this case, the weight is reduced. In this case, the weight is increased based on the prediction. If it has to be predicted as plus 1 but predicted as minus 1, you have to increase the value of the linear equation in order to make it greater than 0. So you are adding some weight to already existing weight. But if you want the prediction to be 1, if you want a prediction to be minus 1 in this case, but you have made the prediction as plus 1, means the calculation of the linear equation should fall lesser than 0. In that case, you have to reduce the weight to make it fall lesser than 0, below 0, so that the prediction made will be minus 1 as expected in the training example. For that, you are calculating the weight adjustment as minus 0.16 instead of 0.16. Got it? This is how the weight adjustment is done by the perceptron training rule. In fact, the above learning processor can be proven to converge within a finite number of applications of the perceptron training rule to a weight vector that correctly classifies all training examples, provided the training examples are linearly separable and provided a sufficiently small learning rate is used. When you use small learning rate, you will arrive exactly at the optimal solution, right? You will not overshoot, as I told you in the mountain climbing example. Keep the learning rate small, and if the given training examples are linearly separable, then you will reach a converging position where weight adjustments are no longer required. You will reach the ideal target solution. But if the data are not linearly separable, I have given example in the previous class. If the examples are not linearly separable, you have something like this. Can you draw a line? If you draw a line like this, plus is on this side. If you draw a line like this, plus is on this side. If you draw a line like this, minus is on this side. You can't linearly separate the training examples. You have to draw some non-linear line, something like this. in order to separate the classes. So if the data are not linearly separable, convergence is not guaranteed. Convergence is not assured. Weight adjustment will not converge. It keeps on adjusting the weights because it will make some or the other prediction error, because it can't find the optimal linear line in order to categorize the classes. If they are linearly separable, yes, it can draw a single line, and that line is your linear equation used by your perceptron in order to make the predictions. Okay, now if they're not linearly separable, how long will the perceptron adjust the weights? You will not be, perceptron will not be able to classify them properly. So it keeps on adjusting the weights. It goes into an infinite loop. What is the solution for this? If the data is not linearly separable, convergence is not guaranteed. It goes into an infinite loop of adjusting the weights. In that case, what is the solution? Delta rule. Students, what is the time?
9:19, ma'am.
Huh?
9:20, ma'am.
9:20. Okay, we'll stop here. Gradient descent and delta rule. This also have to be done very slowly in order to make you understand. This will postpone to the next class. This is also simple rule. All these mathematics lying behind will use the basic maths you have studied in your school days and PUC. Not a very complex mathematics are involved. Okay, so do not get confused seeing the mathematical terms. They'll actually be easy. Only thing is you understand where exactly it is being applied, what for it is being applied, and what is sought, what is required out of applying that particular mathematics there. If you understand that, remembering these equations to present in your exams will be very easy for you. Okay, now in the next class we'll proceed with this part left here, and also visualizing the hypothesis space and derivation of the gradient descent rule. Now can you quickly tell me what is new? Students, what is new?
Learning rate.
Very good. Learning rate. Learning rate of the algorithm. It acts as a moderator in order to see how much weight adjustment have to be done in order to make the prediction error as minimum as possible. What is the perceptron training rule? Can you give me the equation? Wi is equal to, what is the perceptron training rule? Wi equal to how the weight adjustment is done, how the perceptron is trained in order to adjust the weights. What is the perceptron training rule? Wi equal to Wi plus what is the weight adjustment that has to be done? Delta Wi. What is the change that has to be made to the weight? Delta Wi. Now, how is the delta Wi calculated? Nu, the learning rate, into multiplied by the training examples outcome minus the prediction outcome. What is the difference between that? Multiplied by xi. That will give you this delta Wi, the change that has to be made to the old weight. Old weight in order to get the new weight adjustment. Is it clear, students? What is delta rule? That we are going to see in the next class. Students, do you have any doubt in this perceptron training rule? This is very important question. Perceptron training rule and delta rule. How the perceptron trains by using these rules. And perceptron training rule is used in linearly separable linearly separable classes and delta rule is used in non-linearly separable classes. Okay, the difference you will notice in the next class. Any doubt till here, students? Shall we end the class? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll meet in the next class.